Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's a pleasure seeing you here, joining us on a Saturday. Hello, Thanasis, hi, Bianca.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Simona.
Hello.
Okay, so I think we can start slowly. It is my great pleasure to welcome you today on this very important event, I must say. It's an event that tries to address a gap, also in terms of discourse, but also in terms of policy. And our event is titled Roma Youth at the Forefront, Promoting Rights, Inclusion and Equality to Sustainable Development Goals. I think we as Roma Youth have a lot to contribute to this discussion. And it is my great pleasure to host today a great set of panelists and Roma Youth experts and advocates across Europe. So that being said, I just want to tell you a bit more about this event. This event is organized by the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Dissent, together with Ternipe Youth Network, Ergo Network, and the major groups for children and youth. We all know that Roma youth in general are quite engaged in specific sustainable development goals, especially those that are quite relevant to the situation of youth, including education, work, inequalities, but also peace, justice, and strong institutions. As I said, this event is organized by the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Dissent. This is a specific form of discrimination that the UN has coined more than 20 years ago, almost. And this type of discrimination happens across all the globe, affecting more than 270 million people, with, of course, 15 million Roma in Europe, but also, as we know, diaspora communities, but also similar groups like the Dalits in South Asia, the Haratins, Osu, and many other communities in Africa, but also Palenque and Quilombola communities in Brazil. So communities discriminated on work and dissent are regarded as the most vulnerable groups in terms of social, economic, and political development. And just because of the intersection of different forms of discrimination we are experiencing, we are kind of left behind. And we know that in the sustainable development discourse, leaving no one behind is a key value and principle. According to the Council of Europe, racism, humiliation, and exclusion are drivers of poverty, but also a consequence of it. And discrimination, whether it's based on gender, ethnicity, sexuality, or other grounds, leads to exclusion. And SDGs will succeed or fail based on the extent to which they pay adequate attention to leaving no one behind and reaching the furthest behind first. So that's a principle that we would like to keep in mind and to kind of contribute to a discussion, as I said, on how we can achieve the sustainable development goals, you know, as a global movement by 2030 to make sure that policy initiatives shed light and spotlight some of the groups for whom progress is limited or not even existent. So with that in mind, we are having today a very rich discussion, as I said, trying to bring together Roma youth voices across the globe. So we are going to listen first from Naveen Gautam from the Major Group of Children and Youth. We are going to hear his remarks. Then we are going to also have Mihai Wancea from Ternipe, also sharing his opening remarks. And then we are going to spend a few time on the launch of two important reports on the situation of Roma women and girls in Bulgaria and North Macedonia. And these reports have been drafted with the support of our rights experts, the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated on Work and Descent, last year. So we are publishing them now. We're going to launch them now. And then in the second part, we are going to have a session on youth mobilization, advocacy, and policymaking, led by Ternipe. And then we are going to hear from Roma youth voices from the ground. Tugay Aslim from Turkey, who's going to speak about employment. Bianca Galushka from Spain, who's going to speak about SDG 10 on reducing inequalities. And Mitro Thanasis from Greece, who's going to speak about housing. And after this session, we are going to hear from Peter Banda from the Advisory Council of Youth of the Council of Europe. And he will share more about the work the Council of Europe on Youth is doing when it comes to Roma youth inclusion policies. And last but not least, we are going to have the concluding remarks from Donald, who is also going to, Donald Mertelli from Ternipe, who is also going to share Ternipe's pledge for Roma youth. So that being said, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Naveen to welcome you.
Thank you, Simona, and welcome everyone again to this wonderful and very important discussion, which we have been trying to have since I think since months, because we have been discussing about the issues which Roma as a community has been facing, but it's also more important how do we bring up the whole aspect of, specifically when we move into intersectional aspect, what youth from Roma are facing. And I'm personally not here to take this space because I am neither a Roma and nor do I belong to Europe. But the idea of having this conversation was also around, why do we need to have more conversations with Roma in solidarity with other communities discriminated on work and decent youth, specifically. And I mean, all of us know the reality and the amount of widespread discrimination which is being done against the Roma community, be it about racial profiling, be it about police brutality, lack of access to justice, employment, and severe barriers to education, which are not to some extent only human rights violation, but also kind of symptoms of deeper systematic and structural problems which are existing. So but one thing which is very clear is the Roma youth are not the only one who are facing these issues across the globe, like Simona very specifically mentioned. Be it the Dalits in South Asia, be it the Burakimin in Japan, Osu and Haratin in Nigeria, Mauritania, and West Africa, and of course Kilambola in Latin America. They have the same amount of challenges. I mean, the challenges are almost similar, which the youth from these communities also face, and same amount of segregation, stigmatization, and equal rights are denied when we talk about the youth from other communities. So I mean, that's the whole idea. So how do we see it as a struggle, not only for the Roma, but also we need to come together, and how do we ensure that there is a strong global fight against decent-based work and decent-based discrimination. And this whole process of building up the solidarity is what we, as CDWD youth, communities discriminated on work and decent youth around the world, we need to strengthen and collectively voice and demand accountability. Access to justice, of course, it remains a massive and a critical issues. And many youth, Roma youth, have been facing distrust amongst the police. And there is a very good reason. It's not like it's something which hypothetically we are talking about. We'll surely discuss about this as well. And of course, employment which often pushes Roma and other youth from other CDWs into the vicious cycle of poverty. So also another thing is we also urgently need to kind of understand and ensure that the Roma youth and other CDWD youth are part of the international mechanisms, be it understanding the international mechanism, be it understanding international procedures, and also have equal participation, equal representation, which we have the right. It's not like something which we are being given as by somebody else. That's something which we own. That's not, and that should not be tokenism. And and it has been seen historically as well that often if we who have been treated as victims, as survivors, if we have access to these rights, we often become an agent of change, which we are also as Roma youth and other CDWD youth need to take up. And I mean, I won't take much space, but let us also kind of ensure that, along with Roma youth and other CDWD youth, be it locally or globally, we need to build alliances to learn one from another and also to kind of keep fighting collectively. Yeah, and in order to have this thing itself, I'll quickly go through a small form if you allow me to share the screen. Color, or I have the access. Yeah, I'll quickly explain this thing. So idea is to bring all the global CDWD youth together and to understand their issues and also ensure that we have a strong global CDWD youth forum. So the first part is all about explanation of the form, what the form is actually saying, what is the whole objective of bringing youth together, and then there is an objective. We have a simple thing. We have a full name, what's your age, nationality, what's your region, and your education. And of course, have you experienced discrimination based on work descent or social background in the past as well? Do you belong to any specific organization? Is your organization working on youth issues? There might be chances you're working individually on these issues. So you can just mention, I don't belong to any organization. What is the name of the organization? If you don't belong, you just leave it as it is. Have you witnessed of other forms or other facing such kind of discrimination? And what motivates you to join this specific forum? And then these are few issues which you think that you can work on these issues while we come together: employment opportunities, social stigmas, legal rights, gender justice, decent work. And what do you expect to gain from participating within this forum? Because this is not something which you only want to get information, but also in future, if there is some kind of engagement, research, or anything specific going on, Roma youth or other CDWD youth, we can kind of come together and collaborate. Do you have any specific following skills which you want to, while you volunteer to be part of this forum? And then how would you like to participate? This is one another part. And of course, email ID for communication. And yeah, I mean, there is one consent thing also which we have tried to put it, saying that are you comfortable participating in virtual meeting? And would you be like to be part of the mailing list? So yeah, the whole idea, as I repeat again, is not only to collect information from youth globally working on these issues or who are interested, but also to ensure that we have a strong solidarity network globally of CDWD youth. And that's what the whole objective of this session is, also talking about more and more about Roma youth and issues they face. Thank you, Simona. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that we are going to record the session. It's already recording, just for internal purposes and documenting. And also we are going to award certificates of attendance for those of you who are interested. So I'm sharing in the chat the link. Now I would like to propose to go to the launch of the European report. As I said, we have two important reports drafted by our rights experts from last year. One of them is from Bulgaria and the other one from North Macedonia. So I would like to bring up front Maria Atanasova to share a bit about her report, what she did, and what's the importance of this report.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Simona. Thank you so much for the for the discussion and launching the report as well. I apologize in advance that I will have to leave a little bit earlier the meeting. So a few things related to the report. One of it was while I was doing the research, the secondary research to read, there was a lot of material on some topics, but almost nothing in other areas. And thinking about the SDGs, many of the organizations working in Bulgaria precisely who involve women, for instance, they forget what is the meaning of intersection. I feel like there is a misunderstanding what is intersectionalism and how does it involve, because also many feminist organizations do not involve Roma women. They do involve gender diversity, which is great. However, Roma women in terms of their economic status, but also their ethnicity are missing from so many places. The importance of this report is to just combine in one place how this research and the work that has been done from NGOs in Bulgaria, how does it relate to the SDGs? And it's important to connect especially Roma women and girls to these topics. There is still some time in terms of the progress and work of the SDGs, and it's crucial that hopefully it brings some more awareness to involve more Roma women and girls in these areas of development. I think that two of these, the SDGs that I was writing about, were very puzzling. One of them was related to the healthcare system and Roma women and their access to healthcare and in general in the healthcare system. That's an unexplored topic since there is a segregation of some maternity yards, for instance, in Bulgaria. There's an informal policy of segregation, not only when it comes to general minority segregation in Bulgaria, but also this reflects in the healthcare system as well. Something that there was quite a lack of information about was the justice system and the Roma women and girls' access to it. And I believe this is there's many reasons for that, but some of the main reasons for this lack to the access and access to the justice system is not only because there are violations and etc., but there is lack of awareness and resources. Many Roma women and girls do not have the support to maybe report some of these violations, and to further, it is a very expensive process. But also the institutional response, there is complete lack of sensitivity towards issues when it comes specifically to Roma women and girls. One of the main highlights, and I think that contribute this report, is that it highlights the poverty and economic dependence. That's also a topic that really needs to be brought up and to have this discussion and conversation. Maybe there is a need of more advocacy, but also NGO work in this regard, because Roma women and girls are the most vulnerable in terms of economic dependency. And I was happy to see that some of the NGOs out there do work in terms of highlighting the challenges in the labor market, especially when it comes to Roma women and girls. And I'm happy to respond to any questions if there are any. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I think it's a very important work to do, especially when we know there's a lack of data. This is also how you started. So we are going to, yes, my colleague has already shared the report in the chat, so you can have a look at it as well. Many thanks, Maria. And now I would like to share a video recording of our other right expert who couldn't join us today here. Her name is Fikriya Tahir, and she has been working on a report on North Macedonia. So this is a short video. I hope you can hear. Just make me a sign if it works.
Dear friends, colleagues, and fellow youth advocates, first let me begin with a sincere apology. I truly regret not being able to be with you in person today. Due to prior obligations, I'm sharing this message with you through video. But I want you to know how important this moment of youth gathering is important to me. And I'm honored to present few recommendations of the report Discrimination and Violence Against Roma Women in North Macedonia, a CDWD perspective. So this report sheds lights on the structural and intersectional discrimination faced by Roma women and girls, particularly those belonging to communities discriminated on work and descent. So due to lack of disaggregated data on Roma women, the available data on Roma in general drafted the findings in this report. So why is this report relevant for a youth like us? Because it exposes how systematic injustice persists, not just in history books, but in the lives of young Roma women in our own country, denied their rights to education, health, housing, employment, their dignity, and not even being included in the history book as part of the educational system. So I will share with you a couple of recommendations in the report. First, to ensure gender sensitivity and inclusive policy implementation, to strengthen the implementation of the National Roma Strategy and action plans for Roma women and girls, ensuring that all measures are inclusive of Roma women and tailored to their specific needs and life experiences. Second, to improve access to quality and inclusive education, to eliminate segregation at schools and educational institutions, to prevent discriminations by teachers and peers, to provide scholarships, mentorships, and language support to increase the enrollment and completion rates of Roma girls, particularly in secondary and higher education. Third, to enhance access to reproductive and mental health care, expand access to gynecological services, prenatal care, and free contraception, particularly in Roma majority areas and rural settlements, to ensure medical abortion services and reproductive health educations are available beyond the urban centers. Next, guarantee legal housing and infrastructure for Roma settlements. So to accelerate the legalization of informal housing, to invest in infrastructure, sanitation, water, electricity, etc., and halt forced evictions. Municipalities must be resourced and held accountable for implementing the local housing action plans, and Roma settlements to be part of these plans. And the last recommendation is related to the gender-based violence topic. So to establish effective protection mechanism against gender-based violence, strengthen institutional responses to domestic and gender-based violence, including culturally competent services, shelters, and legal aid, to involve the Roma women in designing and monitoring support services to build trust and accountability. So behind all the data and numbers in the report, there are real stories of early school dropout due to poverty and discrimination, neglect of the state, of Roma girls bullied at school because of their ethnicity, of Roma mothers giving birth without medical care, of Roma young women like Ramayana Asan killed this year by an abusive partner, even after asking for help from the institutions that should take care of all women and all people.
Yeah, so this was Fikiria, as I said, and you can find also her report in the chat. I think it's a very important contribution to shed light, as I said, on the situation of Roma in different countries. And we are going to have a few other similar reports this year, one focusing also on Hungary, and then a regional report on the situation of Roma women in Europe. And all of this, as I said, it's done with the support of our rights experts. So keep an eye on our GFOD page and website and see what updates are there, because maybe next year you are going to be our new right expert. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll give the floor to Mihai Wancea, who is also one of our hosts today as co-organizer of this event. So Mihai, I'll give you the floor to say so, to also share your opening remarks. And thank you very much for this important collaboration.
Thank you, Simona. Thank you very much also to Naveen and to the others who are speaking so far. It's a great pleasure also to welcome you to this event, and I'm truly glad to organize it, because this is very important. And thank you also, Simona, and to Naveen for the initiative and for inviting us to be part of it. I was looking over the participants, and I'm very happy to see so many familiar faces here, but also new people that we didn't connect yet. But that's a great sign, actually, because that's why we're having this event, to connect with each other and to build a wider community. One that actually connect, learn, but then also that can act together, because this is very important. And I think that bringing the topic of the Roma youth to the forefront, as the title says, is more than timely. I think it's urgently. And it's not about the visibility or the present, it's more about also the recognition and our rights, and more also about rethinking how we can approach the inclusion topic together with, of course, dignity, justice, but also I think it's very important to mention about equality, because here, as you already notice, what the previous speakers mentioned about, if we are talking about education, if we are talking about decent work, poverty, or reducing inequalities, this is the lived realities of the Roma youth, and this reminds us how far we still have to go, right? Because this is not just true for Europe, but is more also a global challenge. And I'm very happy to see here a lot of participants from different countries and continents. More than that, that's why I was very happy to accept the invitation to co-organize this event together. And I'm very happy also having my colleagues here, Isabella Tiberiade and Donald. Thank you very much for having your support today, because this is exactly what we are doing. We are creating the international space for the Roma youth to connect, to grow, but more important, to raise their voice together. And we very much like to believe in this idea of the development without justice is not development. And unfortunately, I think I still need to mention that we still need to keep repeating this again and again, is our struggle to make it reality. And thank you again for being here and for contributing to this important conversation. I'm looking forward to see how we can connect more. And I will right now mention who I am, because Simona introduced me. So my name is Mihai Wancea, currently the president of Ternipe International Youth Network. And I'm going to pass the floor back to you, Simona. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mihai. Yeah, and with that in mind, I will give the floor back to your team from Ternipe to share more about your work. How do you mobilize? How do you advocate? And what's the kind of work dynamic in Ternipe, to say so. So Donald or Isabella, you have the floor.
Hello, Donald, should I go? Yes,
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 we
please,
weren't expecting,
please, yes.
we weren't expecting this, so it's of course nice we can share, but of course at the same time it's also good that Mihai is here and he could also give more insight into this. As you already know, Ternipe is the youth network, and it mobilizes a lot on when it comes about Roma youth participation, and when it comes about remembrance, but as a reclaim of our history and our right to shape how we want the history to be told. And at the same time, anti-Gypsyism is a very important topic that we want to create spaces in where we can tackle this topic, and where we can create non-formal education and training, and, so that it can be discussed about it. Maybe Mihai and Donald, you want to take on this?
Yes, as building up on what you already said, my name is Donald. I'm from Albania, and currently I'm a volunteer working with the Turnipe team. And to begin with, Turnipe is a platform for Roma youth from all around Europe. Is a platform an open platform to build, to grow, and to contribute, not only for themselves but the whole community of Roma all around Europe. And of course, this is a team which is always in touch, always reporting, always researching, always building capacities, and always finding the place to contribute and raise capacities for Roma in different countries. Mihai?
I mean, you already pointing things that we're already doing. I think we should go with the preparation of the Mentimeter, if you want to start with that.
Yes, I would like. I was just waiting if that was the time. But yeah, I can go with that. So in the framework of speaking about the SDGs, I would invite you to participate in this Mentimeter. Let me just a second. Yes, this is not a moment to test your knowledge, but it's a time to open the stage. I don't know if you can see.
We see just half of your screen.
Half?
Uh-huh.
How comes? Just give me a second. What about now?
Okay, yes, perfect.
So I would like to make it more interactive with the audience in order to be part of the conversation, and later we talk about how we engage with sustainable development goals. I will invite you to scan the QR code or open the website of Mentimeter and type in this code number. And as a test, I would invite you to answer to this question: how do you say hello in your language, just to prove, just to see if it works. Well, we have in the first response, hola. Great, great. Different perspectives. Good one. Romanes as well. Tabes Bachtalo. Namaste. Ram Ram. Ahoy. All right, as I see, it works. And let me just, okay. The next question is, who created the Sustainable Development Goals? Okay. So yeah, the correct one is, of course, United Nations in 2015 as a platform and yeah, as an open space for the agenda of 2015-2030. The next question is, how many sustainable development goals are there? Immediate response, 17, 18, 16. All right, so, and yes, the correct one was 17. Which of the following is not one of the official 17 SDGs? It's important to mention that, yes, free internet for all is not yet an official goal of the SDGs. We never know, it might be in the future. Zero hunger is one of them. Gender equality is one of them. And then the last one, which SDG specifically addresses inequality, including those faced by Roma community. So SDG 10 is now heading. And let's see the correct answer. Oh, yeah, so it was SDG, yeah, 10, reduced inequalities. This is a moment where we had, yeah, an open space to see where the SDGs come from and how many are there, and to have a general knowledge briefly on them. And now I would like to give the floor to Simona.
Thank you very much, Donald. Actually, I think this is a really good practice, you know, like a game, something, even a competition, Kahoot, something like, to test our knowledge on the SDGs. Because I think, and this is a sad thing, of course, that many young Roma, you know, especially those that live in marginalized neighborhoods, are not familiar at all with this type of frameworks, you know, not even at the national level. So this brings me the idea that we should do some sort of educational toolkit, something, or even short videos, you know, what are SDGs and how they're relevant for Roma youth. Thank you, Donald, very much. And now I would like to move to the next section of our panel, which is called Roma Youth Voices from the Ground. So as I said, in this panel, we are going to have 3 important speakers, Tugay Aslim, Bianca Galushka, and Thanasis Mitrou, who are going to speak about specific SDGs. So I would like to start with Tugay Aslim, who is representing here today the Roma Youth Education, Culture and Solidarity Association from Turkey, but also Romani Godi. So Tugay, as I said, is going to speak about SDG 8, which is about employment. So Tugay, you have the floor. Would you like me to share screen, Tugay?
If you want, I can do.
Okay, you do. You do.
Thanks. I sent a request. Okay. First of all, hi everyone. Actually, I tried to speak without reading several times, but every time I forgot some specific and important details point. That's why I wanna read. I must read. Just a second. So sorry. You hear me clearly, and is there any bad words from
It's
outside?
fine. It's fine. It's
Okay, thank you.
manageable.
Okay, thank you so much. Can I read generally or okay? Because generally I forgot some details. Hi again and again. I am Tugay from Turkey. I'm working with a Roma association, Roma Youth Association, as global, local, and as a grassroots. Maybe that's why I need to start with grassroots level. It's Roma Youth Education and Solidarity Association, aka Rome Youth, and not Roma Youth. It's different association. We are a youth-led NGO based in Izmir. Our aim is to support Roma youth through local production, just a second, projects, education, employment, and strong connection with institutions. We work for equal chance, fair job, and active participation in society. Our mission fits directly with SDG 8. Of course, Simona knows me. I'm working on Roma employment and education since 22, I guess. I'm not sure. What we did as Rome Youth with UNDP, you know, UNDP is a part of UN. It's certain from its name. This one was first, and I'll talk about the second one. We work with UNDP Turkey to design a local job support model for Roma youth in Konak district. Konak, the most crowded district in Turkey, also for Europe, aspect of Roma people, living Roma people. We went to the neighborhoods, conduct surveys, and met with local people in Konak. We helped start the Roma Job Club, where public and private actors came together, such as for public institutions, the local government of Izmir, and also Chamber of Izmir, Chamber of the City. They are really big institutions for us, big organizations. We joined the planning of job trainings and soft skills education. Training include areas like textile, pastry, barista, welding, security, and more. Really, I wonder, most of Roma youth chose security, just security. Maybe they don't know the other vocational training. If someone tell me that, I really happy. Is the same your country, or I don't know? We also supported youth with CV writing, interview tips, and confidence building. Maybe the most important one is confidence building. I saw that, unfortunately. What was the output for young Roma, and sorry, for this project? More than 100 youth Roma complete job trainings, and more than I guess 44 young people started working after the project. I wrote here people because this project was a bit flexible for adult people because of our Roma situation, Roma problems, and also 12 teamwork between municipalities, companies, and NGOs. Yeah, it was what we did. That's why, that's what we are doing. ILO project. ILO also International Labour Organization is a unit of United Nations, and as Roma Youth, we are implementing a project. Also, we are implementing a project too with Romani Godi. But for now, I will talk about just Roma Youth. We are currently working on a new project supported by International Labour Organization to improve Roma access to public job services in 6 districts of Izmir. 2 of them is in the center, and 4 of them in rural. We chose deliberately some district. We are doing service 60 Roma people to understand their experience. We are meeting with job centers and public officials like municipality to talk about the problems. We are collecting real stories and example of discrimination or difficulties in accessing employment support. I will mention about Romani Godi's works on discrimination. Yeah, I'm continuing. We are preparing a policy report and planning a public event to share our results. We are also designing tools to help public institutions become more inclusive and fair for Roma. The expected results, we want to create a full report showing that blocks Roma from getting job services, policy ideas for making services more equal and open, with Roma youth that will choose for each district. Dialogue space. By the way, we will try to I'll say, I don't know. We will try to choose a new leaders for every district. Third one is dialogue space for dialogue between public bodies and Roma NGOs, and also direct the Roma people. Better awareness for especially the institutions among local institutions about the needs of Roma job seekers. What we will do, UNDP Fast 2, it's coming, I guess on October, we will start. Now we are preparing the second phase with a much bigger goal to apply this model in over 20 districts in Izmir. Almost 20 maybe, I'm not sure. We will see. A new surveys to find job-related problems. It will also more complicated and more range area. Roma job access map to show which areas need more support. I forgot to say something. I made these photos with AI, as you know, as you see. That's why I'm sorry. Third one is organized trainings and events in more towns and villages. District level report. Our team will write a full district level job access report to institutions. Expects results. More than 200 youth will receive job training and support. Maybe 300 we will try. Local governments will get a clear advice based on real data. The Roma Job Club model will grow and spread across the city, especially it will spread at all rural parts. Just a second. Yeah. Who we are as Romani Godi Association. I'm also from Romani Godi as national level. At the national level, I don't know. Romani Godi is a youth group working on fight discrimination, generally support Roma language and identity, and bring real stories into reports and public discussions. Since 2022, we have worked in education, public policy, and local crisis. Rom Youth established in 2010. Yeah, it's too old. Maybe that's why its name is very long. And what we are doing now, our team studies how Roma people are left out of job services and public support. We collect data and write reports about this exclusion. Young members join the Esmaret Pezo Academy. Maybe you know that. It's probably you saw that, where they learn to research and speak up. We also work in earthquake hit areas to report how Roma, Dom, and Abdal people were affected, especially including Dom people, because they have been living in Hatay still. Sorry, maybe you don't know Hatay. We
know Hatay.
Okay, sorry. At the first, I thought, because of the earthquake, but and then I gave up. We met with MPS and international groups to share our fundings. A member of parliament means in Turkey. The results we found and documented more than 50 discrimination cases. I did also something about that. Our reports reach more than 30 news platforms and over 2,200 people. 300 people, more than 3,000 people received support through our projects. Roma Children's Voice were shared at the UN Human Rights Council. I mentioned something about Romani Godi's activities, but maybe you didn't match why it's related with SDG 8. Because I wanna read these two sentences, and I will end this presentation. You cannot fix job problems without seeing the real barriers, and you cannot include people without hearing their voices. Thank you so much, and also I'm sorry for my English level. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Tugay. I'm very happy to see you doing this. And, I will share something more personal. I'm also a tutor in the Roma Graduate Preparation Program at Central European University. And Tugay I was also part of that program, trying to support Roma youngsters to enhance their English and apply for international development opportunities. And I'm very happy to see you Tugay doing this. We acknowledge in our work that language is a key barrier for participation, for sharing key experiences of Roma youth, and we are very happy that you are here with us, and also the fact that you are from Turkey, a country that doesn't receive the attention it deserves when it comes to Roma inclusion areas. I just want to comment a bit on your presentation. I think you pointed really nice now that you cannot fix jobs without seeing the real barriers, and the barriers, we have to acknowledge that are coming from the mainstream and not from the Roma themselves, right? It's not a Roma problem, but it's a problem of the majority and how they push us into specific jobs, into segregated informal jobs that are not dignified jobs, to say so. And I'm very happy that you mentioned these specific projects that you have with UNDP and ILO, because their work is very much relevant for communities discriminated on work and descent. ILO has a specific convention, number 111, which is specifically focusing on anti-discrimination in employment and occupation. And that's very much relevant for us as Roma and youth from communities discriminated on work and descent. And I think, you know, the work that you do in Turkey, it's significant, it's valuable. And I just want to close with the fact that Tugay was awarded last April an award for Roma integration in Turkey, and we express our congratulations to you, Tugay, and we hope that you can continue this amazing work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well, and I just want to add that the audience can address questions in the chat, and then we're also going to have a Q&A session towards the end. I would like to move now to our next speaker, who is going to speak about SDG 10, Reduced Inequalities. And this is Bianca Galushka from Pajic, Spain. This is also an important Roma youth structure focusing on youth issues. And Bianca is going to tell us how SDG 10 is related to broader EU Roma strategies and policies, and also the work that Pajic is doing specifically on this topic. Bianca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simona. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I think it's amazing how this forum is related all the SDG with youth, because we talk about intersections. So thank you for the invitation, and the others enjoy that organize it. I will have to share my PowerPoint too. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, just press full screen. Yeah, it works. Good. Great.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So yes, we will start to talk a little bit about the situation in Spain and in Catalonia specifically, because I always say this, but I think it's important to understand that Spain, it doesn't work like a whole country, because it has autonomous communities. So in each one works kind of differently. So each one has their kind of like Roma plan and Roma institutions. So it's very interesting to see how is the situation. Like Simona said before, we will try to speak about reducing inequalities through participation. And I will start with this interesting quote that it was said on 8th of April in the Parliament of Catalonia. The president said Catalonia wouldn't be the place it is now without the Roma community. So we'll start to have some kind of symbolic, we'll see like recognition, not in practice, but I'll go through it. So yeah, as I said before, we will see how is the youth civic engagement here in Spain, structural discrimination and Roma inclusion. And for us, a key message I think is political and social participation is a structural tool for reducing inequalities, not a gesture, not symbolic. So let me give you a little bit of context here in Spain about Roma youth. As we said before, and I think it was really said my colleague before, and you said, Simona, it's very intersectional. It's not something like participation. It's very related with employment and education, and it's always related with other factors. So first of all, we still here in Spain, Roma youth faces systemic barriers in education, housing, and representation. And it's very sad, but because I think maybe the mainstream and the public opinion that Spain has really made like progress, in some areas, but no, we still have a lot of segregated school and segregated neighborhoods, and of course we have low representation. Structural anti-Gypsyism remains widely unaddressed, even though in like political speech you will see it started to be mentioned and recognized. But as I said before, I'm repeating, it's very symbolic. They didn't take measures. Roma youth are underrepresented in public and civic life. Inequality is political and institutional, and it's not accidental. And it's not because Roma don't want to be an institution, as you said before. It's because it's structural. And I always say this because for me it's really important, because I'm Romanian actually and I live in Spain. So I always like to punctualize this. The situation is way more concerning for migrant Roma youth, and because Spain and Italy have the most number of Roma from Eastern Europe, who often have no access or participation spaces at all. We are the privileged one that have involved in NGOs, but the representation is actually zero. So the institutional context in Spain and in Catalonia, as I said before, we are like different levels. And this is like, I don't know if you call it positive or negative, because in Spain we do have the National Roma Integration Strategy, and it actually covers education, employment, everything that if you have to do like a letter to desire for Christmas, it's everything included. But like it's included even in the action plan, and Roma youth is it's recognized as a priority group as women, children, and Roma youth too, highlighting the need to promote them. But there is no specific access exclusively dedicated to them or data. So it's just write it on a paper. In Catalonia, we have something different that's called Plan Integral del Pueblo Gitano. That's like a public body, like it's an institution that actually works on Roma issues here, and they kind of want this year to have a strategy here in Catalonia. And maybe in a more positive tone, they did include youth and participation through the years. They actually make like how they work, they make groups for employment, for gender, for participation, and we have one that's dedicated to youth. So there are efforts there to include the youth, but of course they reach the youth that's already related to the NGOs. Still the same, we don't arrive to the grassroots or to the neighborhoods. And in Barcelona, we have some Roma youth presence in the municipal Roma council. Key gaps, lack of quotas, of course, symbolic concentration, and urban centralization. About us, because Simona said we are from FAGIC, we are a federation of Roma association founded in 1991. And we have federated to us more than 80 grassroots Roma associations, like different type of thematic that they work on. Our mission is promote Roma rights in housing, employment, health, and like everything we can imagine. And then we work on participation and cultural identity. Now we are a member of Catalan Roma Plan Council, Municipal Roma Council, State Council for Roma, and of course, Ergo, TNP, Fijana Mensa, and other colleagues that you already know. I want to highlight some project that we did last year. We did more project with youth participation, but the ones that maybe worked more and they're more recent. We had a project that was called Roma Juvat that was training young Roma educators using Roma memory and identity, and it was a really interesting project because it was not the others giving them a lesson, it was like already Roma being dedicated with the youth, so it was interesting. And we still continue this project this year, and we try to highlight the importance of the participation. We had another one that was called Red Rights that was about digital tools to counter anti-Jewish hate speech. And now this year we have a new project that we're really happy about, that with the main radio in Catalonia. And it's not a small one, it's like the main one that it's only going to be based on youth and different topics. So we already started, we did about Roma history, about music. So like each 2 months is going to be another topic. We have Yekipe that I think a lot of you know, and it's not only based on youth, but I think it's very interesting to work historical justice and civic engagement by Roma youth. And then we had one that's related with the topic that we were here in this forum today, that was called Mirada Gitana del Desarrollo Sostenible. That means the Roma look at the sustainable development, that promotes the active participation of Roma youth within the community and understanding what's the monitoring of these sustainable development goals, because it looks like very far and look very difficult. So we try to kind of have like a closer approach. And other smaller project, that's youth participation in schools, advocacy and leadership. And we try to advocate for the Roma culture in schools and have the history in all grades. What are our strategic approaches from FAGIC? We think like youth-led dialogue and civic debate spaces are very important to build this confidence as public speaking skills through grassroots participation. Another one that we are working on it is using memory as a civic tool for justice and dignity, strengthening youth representation in schools, youth councils, and public bodies, and monitoring and legislative and structuring policy responses. And I think this one, the last one, is very important because we talk about data-driven advocacy to hold the institution accountable, because you cannot act or you cannot have any type of measures if you don't actually have data to work on it, because it's, you sell dreams somehow. So we are always advocating for data. The main structural barriers that we find to participation, first of one, it's that youth initiatives often are linked to campaigns. When is the time that someone wants to make a campaign, they need the Roma youth or they speak about Roma youth, but they are not sustainable policies. It's more like, I'm gonna say like the good phrase, but it's not real actually. So then we have another problem that we did like smaller groups with the Roma young people to ask them, what do you think is the problem? A lot of them, they said, because they are very urban centralized structures. So the smaller neighborhoods, they never know if we have a youth council or what are the news. It's, you know, in the other neighborhoods, the information never arrives. No Roma youth in key bodies, like for example, Barcelona Youth Council, we have Roma, but in Roma spaces, but in general ones, no Roma. So of course, Barcelona Youth Council has to cover all the diversity from Barcelona, but there are no Roma representation. And it's very curious when we try to advocate this, they say because they don't come. So they never take the responsibility on it. Institution engage youth mainly through NGOs, but this is good, this is positive, but you have to find other ways to engage the youth, not only through NGOs, so it's insufficient for political agency. And Roma youth must be included in decision-making bodies permanently. Some progress, like I said before, utilizing Roma plan, so we have contributions to the regional design. We have youth involved with the municipal Roma council. And at the Spanish level, we have youth-focused working groups, like I said before. So, and another positive way, institutional recognition is growing. As I said before, it's more mentioned. We have it there in the speeches, but now has to be effective and systemic. Some policy recommendation, we have to have Roma youth quotas in public councils and guarantee this representation. This is very polemic when we say it, because they say if we have Roma quotas, why we don't have to have, it's like a very long debate. We have to outreach, like I said before, beyond urban centers and try to arrive to smaller neighborhoods. Funding for Roma-led youth structures. This is very interesting because they want the Roma youth to be there, but if they present projects because they don't trust them, because they're a very young organization, they don't have the funding. So we need funding for the Roma-led youth structures. We need indicators to track anti-GSPs and participation. We need formal youth advisor platforms, create official youth bodies that advise institutional Roma inclusion policy, and involve Roma youth in assessing progress or reducing inequalities. And as conclusions, SDG 10 must ensure political agency, not just the access to them. So inclusion always goes beyond presence. It must include the voice and to be real into public decision making. Our experience said that Roma youth are already acting, but they need the support from the institution. In the last 5 years, we had projects to not only Catalonia, but across Spain that have engaged hundreds of young Roma. Real inclusion means power sharing. And as I said before, we have implemented your programs that was demonstrating that Roma-led initiatives are effective when supported. And thank you. That's from our side. Thank you, Simona. I have to stop sharing, right? Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Bianca. Indeed, the whole discussion about SDG 10, it's very relevant for us Roma, but also as other youngsters affected by discrimination based on work and descent. You know, I think the issue of discrimination is specifically addressed within SDG 10. And I think it's very relevant to emphasize, you know, how Roma are affected by this. I very much like your reflection on the need for data and documenting the situation of Roma youth. And I want to make a call to all the Roma youth organization and activists, but also to the others as well. We are going to be present at the high-level political forum in July, which is the key forum looking at sustainable developments, their progress and challenges. And if you, any of you, is willing to, to share with us any, fact sheets, pledges, call to actions, or reports on Roma youth, please share them with us. And we can work together on how we can best disseminate your calls, your data collected on Roma youth and whatnot. So that's a first call, and I think Bianca is right to say that data is very important. This is what we also try to do with the country reports that we have just launched today, just to try to document based on the scarce data that is out there, to document the situation of the Roma women and girls. But of course, we need more on youth. There are some reports on youth, but I think we need to continuously update and take different angles on the situation of Roma youth, not only education and the classical type of challenges, but also others as well, especially access to digital tools and whatnot. Yeah, I very much like as well, your emphasis on participation. And I think, our work with the Global Forum of Communities Discriminated Work and Dissent is also trying to bring youth from our communities at a different level of advocacy, which is mainly United Nations related advocacy, an area that was not so necessarily focused both from the side of Roma youth, but also from the side of the UN system, to say so at large. So I think that's an opportunity to advocate together, as my colleague Naveen said, to open new spaces for joint advocacy and solidarity, because when we are more together, we are stronger. So thank you very much, Bianca, for your input. I think it was really nice to see what you work on. And now I'd like to give the floor to our next speaker from this panel, which is Athanasios Mitro from Act Rome from Greece. Athanasios is going to focus more specifically on housing and how Roma youth in Greece are affected by housing. And he will have a stronger focus on SDG 11. So Athanasios, you have the floor. I know you also want to share screen with your presentation.
Yes.
And meanwhile, I want to encourage everyone to share questions in the chat box if you have. We are going to take them a bit later. So Athanasios.
So, hello everyone, namaste, hola, and so on. It's very nice to be here and with all these people around the world and have this nice conversation. My name is Thanasis. The official is Athanasios, but don't use it. It's too official. I'm going to present a PowerPoint about the SDG number 11. The SDG number 11 is about make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Before I start my presentation, I want to share a personal story. I have grown in a settlement. I grew in a settlement until the age of 5 years old. It was very difficult to go to the school because the school was very far away. The situation remained the same in this settlement. This settlement is in the North Macedonia. Sorry. This settlement is in Macedonia, and the situation remained the same. First, well, it doesn't change. Yes. So, the purpose of the presentation. First, we are going to present some data related to Roma settlements.
It's not changing the slides.
It's not changing. For me, it's changing. She says your screen sharing is paused. Okay, stop share and we are doing it again. Okay.
Yeah, and go full screen as well.
I was full screen. For me, not for you. Okay, it's full screen? It's full screen. Okay, now then give me the thumb. So first we are going to present the data related to Roma settlements, where they are, how many people they live, what is the situation. We are going to give an example of a Roma settlement in Attica. And also we are going to give a second example, another Roma settlement in Attica. You will understand why we focus in Attica. And in the last part, we are going to present some follow-up, some suggestions in order how to solve the problems that the Roma face in the settlement. I want to think the Roma more, but also the other people, how many of us that we know start from a settlement and they arrive in the university, because I think it's more difficult to start from a settlement and to arrive to university compared to live in a house, I think, from the experience that I have. So firstly, we are going to talk about sustainable development. This is the first definition that we have, I think the first definition, and I hope to be correct, the first definition about sustainable development, that this definition says that what we do today has to guarantee the life of tomorrow, that the people are going to they are going to meet their needs tomorrow. We are going to come back later on this. It changed, right? You see the map? Okay. So now we have Greece. We have Greece and we have the settlement in Greece with the black bullets. So, do you see my cursor? Okay, here is Attica. Here is the most, here we have the most settlements. Attica is close to Athens, so it's a big city. We don't have farming. Here is the Greek Macedonia. Here the situation is very better because here the people can sell things, can do farming, and can have work. Also here and here in Attica, the people are they don't have a lot of money because they cannot go for farming. So they have to work in other jobs that pay very, very less. So what are the data that we have? Because we don't have a lot of data. I will explain why later. So we have, it is estimated that approximately 100 almost to 20,000 Roma live in Greece in settlements. And in these settlements, the 66% of them do not have electricity, have electricity. The 71 have water. The 50% almost has sewerage system, and one of two have roads and public transport. So we can say that the Greek settlements are somehow, they are cut from the society because they do not have the infrastructure, because they do not have the public transport, because they cannot connect with the rest of the city. Here we have an example of a Greek settlement. We have a picture. I found the picture from my friend, George Nicolaou. We have a testimony later, you will see. You can see that the water goes through the settlement. This water, of course, is dirty. The children's playing in if you see the swimming pool inside the picture. And of course, this has negative effects also to their health. So my question here is, Roma live or survive? Here we see some other pictures. The people living next to the garbage. This is their everyday reality. I don't know how nice it is to wake up and to see this in front of you. That goes together with smell, of course. That goes also together with health issues and so on. And the next slide, we have a testimony from a person, George Nicolaou. He's a Roma who lives in a settlement and finished university. And we have his word. I want to read his word. During the high school and university, I had to read with the light from the mobile lens. During COVID pandemic, I had to move to a cafeteria in order to give exams. The police cut off the electricity, but the state did not give us an alternative. And now we are going to continue to see exactly what happened with the water and with the electricity in this settlement. Starting from the electricity, they take the electricity from the poles, from the general poles, and this is very dangerous because someone can die. In the next example that I will show you, the next area, I will tell you also people who have died. Will give numbers. Also, the water supply is illegal. Following an order from the mayor, water is drawn from the municipal cemetery of Yerakas. This area is Yerakas, using makeshift hoses, which link onto a main road, leading to Roma being stigmatized. As you can imagine, every daily need are difficult to meet. I think this is his words. I think I cannot add something. Now we have another example of a Roma settlement here. We have a Roma settlement which is in Aspropyrgos, another area of Attica. The white lines is the road. Here, with the red bullets, is where the Roma live, the area called Sofo. You can see that no street are across the area. I read an article from Report United where I find also the picture, and they say that they need 1 hour and a half to go to the city center. We talk about a village. It's not a city. It's outside of Athens. It's too far. In the village, normally in 20 minutes, you are in the city center. You take the bus and you go. They have to walk 2 kilometers first and after to take a bus that never passes. So here also, people have died because do not have electricity. From the report says that 2 people have died trying to connect electricity with their settlements. Looking forward, how to look forward, but looking forward. What we need first of all comprehensive data. We have a situation in Greece. The Roma is not recognized as minority. So no one knows how many live. They say they live in the settlement almost 120,000, 100,000. But the Council of Europe, if I'm not wrong, says 400,000. So without data, we cannot have the correct projects. We cannot have the correct amount of money in order to solve the problem. And I go to the second, take advantage of available EU fundings. I had a discussion with the previous Minister of Labour, and she told me, I have money for houses, but I don't have money for education. This government says that we don't have money for anything. So somehow something has to happen to make proper houses for these people and to be able to go to school, to grow, to become young, to participate in the society. And everything is connected with the house, I think. If you don't have a proper house, you cannot grow properly. I mean, properly to be socialized, to be in the city, to have friends, you are in the edge. Of course, these living conditions create health problems and really is called dropout. And the last but not least, what is the situation today in Greece? In order to rent a house, you need the 66% of your salary. We have the sustainable development definition. So sustainable development means the simultaneously growth of economic, society, and environment. Nothing goes with nothing. And society doesn't go with economy. Economy, the price is raised too much and the society cannot follow. And I will close with something that I read the previous days is from the from the former Minister of Finance of Greece. We have moved from a society where individuals were defined by their work to a society where they are defined by the level of their exclusions. If we have people who do not live together with the others, there always be the gypsies, excuse me for using this word, but they use this word in order to say, those are gypsies, they live in a settlement, we don't want them. So if you are excluded, you cannot grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thanasis. Indeed, it's a housing. It's a very sensitive topic, and I just pasted in the chat that last year we also had a similar report trying to map out different substandard Romani settlements across Europe, including Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, and I know also Spain had a specific report on this, and that's a significant issue across Europe. And you know, when I was presenting to my colleagues at GFOD, my colleagues from India, from the Dalit community, were saying, this seems like it's also our situation as well in terms of living conditions and, you know, access to all sorts of opportunities, including roads, and not to say institutions and public services and so on. Yeah, so indeed a very sensitive topic that many, I think, European countries don't know how to address. And I think it's also a shock for many non-European activists as well to see, you know, how Roma are living in Europe today. And that's really sad. Thank you very much to all the three panelists of this segment of our event. I think you all have touched upon you know, key challenges and key you know, issues in the respective SDGs and how Roma youth are kind of experiencing those. And now I would like to move to, let's say, what can be done, what you know, what other relevant European institutions are doing. And I would like to invite Peter Banda, who is our Roma youth representative in the Advisory Council of Youth of the Council of Europe, to share a bit about you know, what the Council of Europe on Youth is doing when it comes to Roma inclusion, what are the challenges, what are the next steps, the way forward, and how we can better you know, integrate Roma youth into the SDG framework. But also, I don't know, Peter, if you can reflect a bit on what you know, our previous speakers have said, and what you know, how Roma youth are experiencing these specific challenges in housing, employment, and inequalities. So, Peter, the floor is yours, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Tavan Bachtale, Romale. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your work, and I want to congratulate you on the two reports that you presented. Somebody mentioned that it's cursed circle or vicious circle, and it goes together with housing and with education, and it's really hard to break the circle. And when we see the reports, we can see that the youth are very well discriminated, and within these, the Roma youth women and Roma girls are the most attacked or attached to it. So we really need to work on this. And when I present a report on Roma in the youth structures in the Council of Europe, there were the representatives of the different ministries of youth, and we were presenting the reports. I was presenting on Roma. Several people were presenting on children and on girl issues or feminist issues, women. And then there was Q&A, and nobody wanted to talk about the feminists and about the gender equality. And they started to talk about Roma all of a sudden. So I think it's very important to talk about this. And so you presented me as member of this advisory council. So what is this? This is this unique co-management system in Council of Europe, and this is composed out of 30 young people from all over Europe. And together with representatives of ministries or governments, we create this joint council on youth. And this body it decides on activities, priorities, and budget of the youth sector in Council of Europe. And there is also this programming committee on youth, which there's 16 members, 8 members from the AC and eight people from the ministries, and they decide on activities in the youth centers in Budapest and Strasbourg, and also the grants from European Youth Foundation. So there are several opportunities that you can take advantage of, and one of the most important document now in the youth department for regarding Roma is recommendation on Roma youth participation, and many of you have participated in drafting this document. And this document touches several topics such as participation, that Roma must have real influence in decision making at all levels. It also highlights the double mainstreaming, the support for safe youth-led spaces, and also combating anti-Gypsyism and structural inequality. These are just some of the topics mentioned there. And this, so the recommendations, they are not legally binding to the state, but they sign off for the recommendations, and you can use this as for your advocacy actually. And now we have translation in English, French, Roma language, Hungary, Portuguese, and Czech language. And so one of the things how to implement this, there's this now 5 years plan how to implement this, and one of the things is to even translate the recommendation to languages of member states. And so far there's only around 6 translations. So this is something that you can do actually. You can go to your Ministry of Youth or Ministry of Education to ask for it to be translated, and then you can, for example, do some meeting with stakeholders. So these are some of the tools that you can use. I also already mentioned the European Youth Foundation. This gives grants to local and national youth organizations and to international organizations, and you can check it online. And there is also this event Roma Youth Together, which is happening every year for International Roma Day, and this is still within the youth department. For this recommendation, there is also being now created this young friendly version of the recommendation for youngsters, how they can use it. And also there is this team of Roma and travelers in Council of Europe, and they are doing a lot of great work. There, for example, they did last year a recommendation on Roma women and girls. They are now preparing this recommendation on desegregation and recommendation in education, and also recommendation on Roma history. And also they have this event. They are doing it twice a year. It's Council of Europe Dialogue with Roma and Traveler Civic Society. And later this year there will be 20th dialogue in Strasbourg, and you can apply for this by 4th of July. Again, you can find it online, or you put Council of Europe Dialogue with Civil Society, with Roma Civil Society. And also they provide many toolbooks, many resources that you can use also in history. You are asking for in the chat for the links. Maybe with Simona I can provide her the links, and then you can have it all in email. Also, they are preparing, the Roman travel team, they are preparing new Roma strategy for 2026 to 2030. This is strategy for Council of Europe, and many states, many member states are using this strategy for their own national strategies. And participants of the dialogue, they could also comment this strategy. They could also add their points of view. And me as a member of the advisory council, I could also comment this. So some of the highlights that we pushed was concrete mechanism of how Roma youth must that they have to be represented in national monitoring bodies, youth councils and advisory platforms, but also recognition in national youth policies, this double mainstreaming, and also protection of independent youth spaces and long-term sustainable support. We also emphasize the principle of double mainstreaming because we only tend to speak about Roma issues in Roma bubbles, but we also need to invite non-Roma to Roma bubbles, but also we need to bring these topics, Roma topics, to mainstream. Also, somebody from Spain, you mentioned the youth councils. This is a very important element, I think, in the youth councils. That unfortunately, not many Roma are present in these structures. And there was very nice research done by Simona with Pirana Mensa about youth councils, and there's some of the recommendations how it can be, how Roma can be present in these bodies. And I actually believe you have in Spain, you have Roma representative in the youth council in Spain, actually. So if you don't know him, I can connect you. But also you mentioned great work for the SDGs, and I think that we are already working on these problems, but despite our actions, we are rarely included as partners in national SDGs implementations plans. And we must change this, and we must speak out, because Roma youth must have a seat at the table and not be just mentioned in the footnotes. Moreover, there are new challenges coming as online hate speech, environmental racism, and green transition. And of course, AI that can be great opportunity or great threat to marginalized groups. So with that, I would like to conclude and thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for your input. Indeed, I think it's very difficult to act as one would like to in a context in which the Council of Europe works mainly through recommendations, and there's no specific binding mechanism to say so. We understand that, and I think there are great efforts coming from different Roma youth activists to strengthen a bit the Roma presence in that. It's very nice that we have you there. That's a great opportunity, and we really appreciate.
Sorry, I forgot to add how you can become a member of this bodies. So this advisory council, it's 2 years mandate. It's not paid, unfortunately, and you can become a member 2 ways. First is through European Youth Forum, which elects 20 people, and then 10 people are selected by the Secretariat of Council of Europe. That was one thing that I forgot to mention. And the other is the Congress of Regional Authorities. It's also part of Council of Europe, and it's not so well known. And there is also possibility to participate there as young ambassadors, and it's per year you can join this for a 1 year mandate per all the member states. So there's much higher chance to get in. Thank you.
I think that's very good that you mention it, but okay, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I'm just assuming, knowing how hierarchical the European Youth Forum is, and how every decision is to pass certain hierarchies, but also the financial resources that it involves being part of it, and also all sorts of delegation processes that they have and voting systems, I think that make it very difficult for Roma youth to be part of these mainstream youth structures. There is a need for more, definitely, and I think we tried, as you said, also with Pirana Mensa, to emphasize the lack of Roma youth in national youth councils, but also in mainstream youth organizations that would be very relevant for Roma youth. But unfortunately, there's no Roma leadership in this. And we always hear that, there's lack of motivation from the Roma youth to be part of these structures. Then many times these, as you said, are voluntary type of positions, to say so, that would make it even more difficult for Roma youth who need to, make sure that they have a job and they can have some income to survive or to thrive or to prosper. So thank you very much, Peter, for your input. And now I would like to give the floor to Ternipe team as well, just to share a bit more what they do when it comes to SDGs, and then, what's their call to action, because they have been quite strong advocates on Roma youth in Europe. And yeah, so the floor is yours. Maybe Isabella, you want to start, and Donald?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I would like to take the floor and share a bit of one concrete action, and later I will pass the floor to Isabella for more details. Let me share screen. Do you see my screen? Hold on.
Yes, it was visible.
Okay, now?
We don't see now.
No? Give me a second. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, as we already mentioned, as part of the Ternipe stands, one main feature characteristic of the Ternipe is regarding the advocacy. And per se, being focused mainly in Brussels as the capital of the policy making and decision making bodies, Ternipe team came up with this pledge, addressing it to the MEPs. It was an initiative during the Roma Week agenda, which is during the first week of April. And I would like to not interpret it, but read it, because it is nicely stated. And yeah, so the title is Roma Youth Pledge for Remembrance, Education and Empowerment. As you can see, the president of Ternipe, Mihai, and one of the MEPs who signed it, Christo Petrov. Of course, it was co-organized with the Ergo Network. First, so there were 7 statements. So the first one was fight anti-Gypsyism and promote equality. And we need to stand firmly against all forms of anti-Roma racism, discrimination, and hate across institutions, public discourse, and media. Promote dignity, respect, and pride in Roma identity, and challenge anti-Gypsyism wherever it exists. The second one is titled Preserve Our Memory and Identity. We need to keep the history of Roma and Sinti alive through education, remembrance, and open conversation. Celebrate and protect our identity, language, and culture. Going further to the third one, which is titled Guarantee Inclusive High Quality Education. We need to eliminate segregated Roma-only schools and ensure access to inclusive, well-resourced classrooms, and where all children, regardless of their background, can thrive. We need to integrate Roma history and identity into school curricula and invest in policies that promote discipline, respect, and equal opportunity, ensure equal access to digital education and self-training tools. The fourth one was embrace diversity and representation. We need to educate early and often for inclusion, so that all youth learn to accept and celebrate differences across ethnicity, religion, ability, and background. Promote diverse and accurate Roma representation in the media, education, and public institutions. The fifth one, empower Roma youth, including nets. We need to invest in both formal, informal, and informal spaces where Roma youth can grow, lead, and heal. We need to develop outreach and support systems for not in education, employment, or training. Youth, especially those most at risk of exclusion or neglect. Continue with the last two ones. The sixth one was to protect Roma and youth and uphold their rights. We need to address the structural neglect and exploitation of Roma youth, especially those in closed-type institutions. We need to found and support Roma-led initiatives that provide safety, scholarship opportunities, and pathways for civic participation. And the last one, we need to strengthen digital literacy and improve the monitoring and reporting of online hate speech. We need to equip individuals with the skills to navigate the digital world and ensuring that online spaces are safe and respectful, protect vulnerable communities, and protect a more inclusive digital future for all. So these were the 7 points that we aim for, and as you can see, it was signed by 3 MEPs, including one from Nikos Papandreou from Greece, Christo Petrov, and Mihai, if you can help me with the...
Yes, sure. But Thomas Jefovsky, I think, is the correct pronunciation.
All
Very
right.
hard to pronounce.
So yes, I wanted to, as I said, I read them because there is no need to interpret, as they are clearly stood and explained. So this was one concrete initiative taken during the Roma Week, and now I'd like to pass the floor to my colleague Isabella. Sorry, sir.
Thank you so much, Donald, and thank you all for your great contributions. It's also a space for information. We are also learning a lot, and it's good that we youth get connected. So I just wanted to maybe make it clear, because last time I was puzzled. Ternipe is a space created for youth, and we believe in the strength of common efforts, building trust and mutual respect between Roma and non-Roma. And this is important because we bring people together. And as Ternipe, we see the SDGs as a powerful framework that aligns with our mission, and that is to empower young Roma, to mobilize grassroots activism, to advocate for justice, inclusion, and dignity. And we have a lot of interventions we train each other, we speak in Brussels, in big spaces, we run events like Dictana Bistar in Auschwitz to keep our history alive. And the SDGs give us this common language, and Ternipe has its as well a mission to give the lived experience to these goals so that they can cross the Europe space as well. The Sustainable Development Goals are a global agenda and global framework, and they reflect the struggles and aspirations of Roma across Europe, and it gives a common language. And when we think from SDG 4 to SDG 10, to reduce inequalities, to peace, justice, this goal gives international recognition already to the systemic issues we have been fighting for years, such as access to education, protection from anti-Gypsyism, and youth participation, the right to live without discrimination. For us, young Roma, the SDGs offer both, and it's important that it offers us to work through our community and to organize and to be organized politically, and when it comes about education. And it's important that Ternipe can connect the local realities to the global goals. And we use the SDGs as an agenda, but also as a tool to reshape and to reflect the lived experiences of Roma youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabella. I think that was such a nice wrap up, and very strong points on how do we strengthen the ties between Roma youth and SDGs. Thank you very, very much for your intervention. We still have 10 minutes for questions, and you can either raise your virtual hand there's a button down, or you can make a sign or write in the chat if you have any specific questions. I don't know, Magdalena, if you want to intervene, or Stellina, sorry, or others. I see Magdalena, you unmuted.
Yes. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I wanted to bring your attention to an important issue raised by many of the reports and researches that we saw, like the first one, Maria's research. She mentioned that she faced a gap in the researches, like there was a lack of data, and I assume that Athanasius and some other of you already were challenged by this issue. So what we do, actually I'm a Roma graduate. I'm an alumni from RGPP at CU, and we try to deal with this issue by preparing a project which was which include natural language processing. And I was pretty much interested into programming, and I just wanted to bridge this gap, how Roma related reports and can produce more reliable data. Just because these PDFs and built-in pages in the websites are actually not searchable and it's not structured. There is a lot of data related to Roma youth as well and children, but they are not separated. And that creates a lot of data, but not meaningful insights. So I think that this is a major challenge, and to achieve better results in policy making and recommendation as well, we need reliable data. And without accurate information about Roma youth, it's difficult to measure progress or design solutions that truly meets their needs. So we need better data that reflects the experiences of Roma communities and helps drive accountability. And yeah, that's why I developed this natural language model. And to make it more understandable, think of it like ChatGPT, but a model which has a lot of data, Roma youth related data, and make it accessible and for public use. That will make for sure a significant result, and hopefully not only in Europe, but across Europe. And it's a big project that I wish I could develop further in my master. So yeah, this is one thing that I could do for my community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Magdalena. Indeed, she's doing a great research. I had a chance to read your paper. So she's trying to see how all these big European institutions and stakeholders, how specific groups, let's say youth or women, are kind of portrayed, and indeed that can bring significant contributions to policy making. So we look forward to your work and maybe having something published so we can also use and look at. I see my colleague Naveen is having a hand.
I only want to come when if nobody else is having any questions. Maybe.
Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I just want to know, Mihai and team, I mean, having access to the international law is one thing which, I mean, globally, even Roma youth and also other youth who have been discriminated on work and descent have been struggling. And also, we also have been trying to kind of get in touch with youth groups, NGOs who are trying to engage more international law, international mechanisms. So, I mean, is there a possibility, or is there a chance or some kind of possibilities to kind of capacitate and teach and also engage the Roma youth and also kind of kind of form a forum or a small I don't know how should I say this thing so that we have access to international law from understanding it and also towards engaging with it more and more. That exposure exactly.
So was this a question specific for Mihai?
Yeah, Mihai.
Oh, it was for me. Actually, I wanted to reply to it because I thought that, okay, it's for me then. It's for us more. Well, I understand it. But in the same way, law is interpretable. And then when it comes to creating the space of involve into it, I think it's very difficult. However, there are also organizations who are supporting and capacitating groups or young people to understand how law functions. But when it comes to creating the policies, again, the policies are related based on the law. So there is not so much what you can do there unless there is an entire process that you build and you are building it from the scratch. And I think we saw some situation and some examples maybe we can relate here with what already Peter was mentioning, what is the role of different public bodies to develop this and to create this together with the civil society. And I also can maybe as a conclusion here, yes, I think we as a civil society, we do more than what the institutions are doing in terms of supporting our communities. But I don't think there is a legal framework that you can develop or work on the laws. Maybe yes, on understanding the laws, yes. And I think here we can give as an example RRRC, because they are working very, very much on law and on rights. But in terms of youth, is very debatable. Indeed, we are taking and we are interfering in drafting recommendations and drafting strategies, such as already Peter mentioned, the Roma youth recommendation, standards also that are related with the Roma youth. But again, it comes with how this, public strategies, institutional strategies, international strategies connects very much with the grassroots level, and then how you can push on it, which is again, I think, more the role of the civil society, not defined by law, but defined by the context that we need to push for them in terms of advocacy. And actually, this is what we are doing, more or less. Yeah.
Thank you, Mihai. And now that you mentioned the European Roma Rights Center, ERRC, I will just share in the chat. They have an open call for the Roma Rights Summer School, and the deadline is on the 9th of July. So please share the call, apply. I think it's a very good summer school. I think some of you already attended the summer school. It's a very good, I would say, is that more like a training, trying to inform Roma youth, what are human rights, how to kind of get involved into documenting, into addressing violations. So apply. I think it's a good opportunity. Okay, I have a last small point, and this is about our upcoming event. I will share screen. I hope it's visible. We have a new event on the 16th of July, again focusing on youth from communities discriminated on work and descent, but also indigenous youth, focusing again on sustainable, inclusive, and evidence-based solutions for sustainable development. If my colleague Naveen has anything to add about the event.
No, thank you. I think that has been well explained Simona also, Pranjali also has added in the chat box the link for registration. But so team and the whole youth brigade, I would also like to inform you that this is one that event we are also trying to bring in the indigenous aspect and also migration aspect of youth who are facing such kind of discrimination. And all of us do, be it Dalit, be it Roma, because of several issues. Sometimes we are being forced to, migrate to other places, settlements, and all those things. So that is one part. So uh, along with major group of children and youth, Global Indigenous Youth Caucus and Migration and Youth and Children Platform, which is globally working on youth who have been migrant or refugees, they have come together. And the whole idea was to kind of talk about SDGs and inclusion. This will take place on 16th, which Simona has already explained. Let's register and get more and more youth to this platform and event. Thank you, Simona.
Thank you very much, Naveen. I think we are just on right with timing. I would like to conclude here. I would like to thank all the speakers, all the partners, or the people attending to this event. And I see Mihai has a hand. It would be nice to hear you.
Yes, because I see Roina has I think the left, no, the hand raised.
Yes.
If maybe he wants to say something. So Roina, sorry if I spell your name.
Okay. I hope you are doing fine, all of you guys, and I'm happy to be joining you. You know, my network had a problem, that's why I couldn't follow up everything, but I kept following, though my phone has a problem. That you can help me, since I'm jobless and I'm also youth here. To add on that, I have not seen somebody from Kenya representing us. So can we also have somebody from Kenya who will be here? We air out our issue on this platform, and he or she second us or decide to put them in front of you so that you can also try to help us.
I think there is the issue with the connection, Roina.
Okay, I was trying to say, do you hear?
Very bad.
Are you hearing?
Very bad, yeah.
Very bad. But my colleague Naveen has written to you in the chat. He has shared his email address. And you can follow up with him and with my colleague Queen, who is our regional coordinator for Africa.
Thank you.
So once again, thank you very much. And I really want to give the floor again, maybe to Mihai, if you want to share any final thoughts about this, and also what's next in Ternipe.
Sure. Yes, more like a conclusion, but a big thanks to all of you for being here, for taking the time. Many thanks to the speakers and who the people presented today the information in their work, what they're doing. I think it's very important that we are having this space of sharing together what we are doing, because this is what unites us and makes us more stronger. As I said at the beginning, this is the spaces where we come with ideas, where we are building together the process, and we are building the process, and this is very important. We saw people here from different countries. We saw from Greece, from Spain, from Belgium, but also from other continents, and this is very, very important from my perspective, because sharing is caring. And actually, this is an initiative that right now we are working on in Ternipe, and my colleague Stelina Dunga is here, and she's preparing a very nice project with Roma Youth Ambassadors of Care, because this means that we are caring about each other. And I think one of the reasons why you are here is also because of that, because we care about ourselves and we care about our young people. One last thing, thanks again to the organizer, and I hope to see you in different contexts, in different events, and we can connect to each other.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you all. Goodbye. And maybe we can have a screenshot if you want to, if you feel comfortable to open your cameras, we can do a screenshot for, I don't know, social media or something. So we give you a few seconds to open your cameras and you can take some screenshots. Nice. Many thanks, Carmen, for your comment. Thank you for joining.
The only time when we want to open the camera.
Big black.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Simona. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.